Hello, this is Mrs. Ross, and this is I can't find my cursor. 2.7, there you are. 2.7.6. This is the part 2 video. Let's jump into it. Find the domain, so that is x, and then write in interval notation. So what I know is that the denominator can't be 0, so x squared minus this cannot equal 0. So x squared, and then when I square root that, I get x is equal to 0.1 plus or minus 0.1. So what we get is we get that the interval goes from negative infinity to negative 0.1 and negative 0.1 to positive 0.1 and 0.1 to infinity. So that's our domain. Next one, let me change colors, is function is not one-to-one. Restrict the domain. So when let's see if I can escape and get to, great, we're just going to discard those. And let me go to, so when I graphed this, it's right here. You'll see that it's a parabola, and I restricted the domain to x is greater than 0. So let's go back. So the restricted domain is going to be x is greater than or equal to 0. And the inverse function, so that's what we're going to find. So I have to swap these. Square root. So I get y is equal to square root of x minus 2 as long as x is greater than or equal to 0. So that's it. Find the domain of f of g of x, where f of x is that and g of x is that. Okay, hold up. So this one's ugly. Let me get a different color. So f of, this is g of x. So I have to put this right there. So that's 3 over 5 over x plus 2. I'm going to multiply that 2 by x over x. So I have 3 over 5 over x plus 2x over x, which is 3 over 5 plus 2x over x. I can write that as a division problem, 3 over 1 divided by, and then I can keep, change, flip. Okay, which gives me, let me come down here, 3x over 5 plus 2x. Yes. Or I could write it as 3/5 x plus 3 over 2. Okay, so that's my inverse. I need to know the domain of this. Okay, so what would cause it to equal 0? So I'm going to make this equal to 0. I'm just going to come down here. I'll erase it before we do the next one, but I need to subtract 3 over 2. So I get 3/5 x is equal to negative 3 over 2. And then what I did to get rid of the ugly fraction is I multiplied both sides by 10. So that gave me 2, which is 6x, and that gave me 5, which is negative 15. I divided, and then I reduced by dividing by 3. And this gives me my domain. So x can go from negative infinity to negative 5 over 2. And negative 5 over 2 to 0. And 0 to infinity. So I'm going to pause it and erase that and do the next one. Okay, the next one's not too bad. Let me get rid of that extra. That must have been under the... Anyway, I want to pick a different color, so like green. Okay, f of x minus g of x. Okay, so f of x minus g of x is 2x squared minus this squared. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to FOIL this. Okay, so FOIL. First, x squared, outside, inside, last. Okay, so I'm going to plug that back in right there. So I have 2x squared minus, and this is like a negative one that is distributed. So minus x squared minus 2x minus 1. 2x squared minus 1x squared is x squared minus 2x minus 1, and that is your answer. Yeah, next one. Okay, find the inverse of that. Okay, so if this is y is equal to x minus 5 cubed plus 8, I'm going to swap these. X is equal to y minus 5 cubed plus 8, and I'm going to solve for y. You're welcome to pause this and see if you can do it, just as a challenge to yourself. Okay. Oh, I really don't need to... So this is going to be plus 5, so I get cube root of x minus 8 plus 5 is equal to y. And that's your answer. And then this is the last one that we have here. It says, use the image to answer the question, is the function g or h, so that's g or h, the inverse function of f? So what I did was I drew our little line here across like this. Okay, there's my y equals x line, right? And then the other thing that I did, let me grab blue. So I was like, okay, so I know that f of x crosses right here, which is what? 5, 1. And the inverse of that would be 1, 5. And that is on G. So the answer is G. All right, let me know if you have any questions.